Okay, so we are starting our Mona Lisa chalk drawing, and I have these kind of black and white copies of the Mona Lisa, and then we're going to be tracing her. Normally I would have you freehand it, but since we're going to focus so much on shading and all that technique, I'm going to let you trace her. So I have light boxes. And then eventually we'll be cutting her out and gluing her into this background, okay? So the Mona Lisa, obviously, a very famous portrait. It's painted by Leonardo da Vinci. So it's a big Renaissance piece of art for our Renaissance unit. And really, honestly, no one really knows who exactly the Mona Lisa is, okay? There's books written about it, but there is a best guess. She's an Italian noblewoman, and her name happened to be Lisa. So she's obviously a very, very famous portrait. And if you've ever been to the Louvre, you'll know that she is guarded by bulletproof glass and just protected by armed guards, and is just a priceless portrait. So what I did is I went to a light box and I placed the original, this little sheet down. You could do this in a window. I have several light boxes, so you could get technically 2 people to 1 light box, and then the windows. And you're going to place that first, and then you're going to place this right on top. And when the light box, what that does, kind of like a window, is it shines through the back so that you can see that through this white paper. So this is just plain white paper. And I started going over it with Sharpie. I don't know if that's going to be faster for you or to do pencil first. This is what happens if you see the pencil first. So with the pencil, then I'm going to go over it with the Sharpie. So if the tracing on the light box with the Sharpie seems to be taking too long, I'll just probably have you go back to your table and do the rest of the tracing with pencil, okay? And then Sharpie on top of that, like I'm doing right now. So we'll see, kind of play that one by ear, okay? So if you do all of your tracing on the light box with pencil first, then Sharpie, then you're going to get a nice white eraser, not one of these crummy pink ones, and you will erase all of your pencil lines. And I don't have a white one here. So once you're done with this, very important, I'm going to write my name, Mrs. K, and my class code, okay? Write it with pencil, not Sharpie, okay? Now, the hard part on this one is the shading, okay? So when we're gonna shade, you can kind of see here, we're gonna be shading really light blacks, medium blacks, some darker blacks, like grays, and you're gonna leave some spaces pure white, okay? It's gonna get really dirty really fast if you press too hard. So I want you to use, we're gonna use these charcoal pencils. I feel like there's a little more control here. And then I have, these are called blending stumps. They're used for blending. Pencil and Q-tips work as well for that. So if you get this and it's totally out, see me and I'm gonna peel it for you, because I've had people peel it and they pull this down and then they ruin it. So the whole idea is when you do peel it, you wanna peel it a little bit, and then you're gonna take a little section of this. You see how it's kind of peeling away? So just one layer, and I'm rolling my left hand around, and then this is gonna sharpen it. It's not sharpening it where it's gonna be a point sharp. When I say sharpening, you'll see the black, okay? And then this can be thrown away. So you don't want that to be too much because it's going to break off, because charcoal is very fragile. So what I'm going to do is very lightly, I mean, I'm barely touching the charcoal to the paper. And I'm kind of going around like the side of her face here. Okay, I can do like her cheekbone a little bit down. And some people like to use their finger for blending. I'm going to show you what this looks like. If you just use the side of it, it just blends really, really nicely. Can you see that? Sorry. Blends really, really nicely on here. So you don't sharpen this blending stump. You just leave it the way it is. You can even go a little farther out past where you shaded, and it works really nice. So I literally barely put any pressure on my my chalk, and it made it this dark, okay? So you really have to be careful. If you know you're heavy-handed, then you need to be extra careful. Now the hair, I'm not gonna color it all in the same shade. So what I usually do is I kind of pick a couple little areas, and I'm gonna do the little kind of coloring in, if you will. I want to keep the crown here a little bit lighter because in a real hairstyle, the light would shine there and make it reflect. So I can just take this down here. And I think this is, part of her hair too. We're gonna color it like it's her hair. I'll show you what the Q-tip does too. So same idea. The Q-tip does. And then I could even go like this and go over the whole thing so it's not pure white. Okay, so even the areas where I did not add any color, like right up here, just taking this dirty chalk over that area will blend the colors. And then you can always go back in and say, okay, this here I want to be a little bit darker. Okay, maybe I want some lighter areas here. And you can add to it. Okay, that's the best part, is layering and layering and layering. Okay, so you're gonna kind of look at the folds, the creases, things like this that are like the shadows here. I could just color it in black like that and leave it like that. The side of the face here. So this black dark hair against the side of the face will really make that face stand out. So I kind of went around the edge. Now I'm going to kind of color around some of the marker lines that I drew, so it stands out too. Okay, and then go back in here. Not that you can't use your finger. That works too, but this is a little finer point than your actual fingertip, so I think it works really nice. And notice I go kind of slow around the edges here. Okay, just like any kind of chalk. You don't want to go like this and smudge the whole thing because it will ruin all of your work. Then I can go here, around her eyes, the side of her nose here, around the eyes. I might use a different side. It's a little bit cleaner. Right in there. Her lips, let's see, this will be the bottom lip, so that's going to be underneath here. Maybe there's a little shadow underneath her nose. You have to be careful. Real fast, that can look like a mustache. Okay, so I'm going to try to do her little cheekbones a little bit here, underneath her nose. Take the cleaner side here. If you use the dark side, it's going to change it to dramatic. Okay, so I just do that. And then there's sometimes, like, I literally am not going to put anything right here, but maybe I want that to be a little really light. So I didn't even color it. I just used this, the charcoal that's on the end here, right over there. Okay, so the main thing I want you to keep in mind, this whole time, I'm just focusing on a little area. Some of us rush and rush to get far, and then you rush and then you make a big mess, okay? So just take your time. You can shade underneath her jawline, right down here. And I'm just kind of going from top to bottom. One reason why I do that is because I am right-handed, and I want to make sure I'm not smudging all around here. So I'm just being kind of very cautious. And then this is my dirtier side. So if you focus just kind of on the outside of like the body, the head, things like that that you want to be softer, and then those creases that you created, just put chalk around those creases and then smudge around there, it will work really, really nicely. So I'm looking for a value. So you have some areas that are super light, some medium light grays, medium dark, and dark grays, and even some possible blacks. So you can see how she's starting to develop her little face a little bit more. I can shadow right here. Maybe a shadow underneath here a little bit more. Her chin. Okay, so it just takes some time. Don't do the smudge thing like this or press hard. Remember, the whole time, even like this black area right here, I did not press hard. Okay, nothing was pressed hard at all on the Mona Lisa, and I can always go back in and go over an area that I want to be a little bit darker, but it's very difficult to lighten it. So I would suggest just going over a medium and adding a little bit at a time and not rushing, okay? And the hair is just treated like, or I'm sorry, the folds are treated very similar to the hair.